Okay, here we are. We're live. Okay, hello everybody. Okay, so for this week's mess up, Frank did a real good one. He sent, well, first of all, welcome to Filk, everyone. Thank you for showing up. I'm sorry we're running a little bit late. Uh, our tonight's guest is Bill Roper, and I'll wait till the end to go over next week's from there. But we were sitting on another link having a very fine discussion, and I'm looking out there trying to figure out why nobody is showing up yet. And somehow I managed to send Bill and Brenda link from later on. And so that was mine, and probably because I didn't have my glasses on when I sent it, and I'm sticking by that story. So tonight, thank you for joining. We have the wonderful Bill Roper. His wife Gretchen was supposed to be with us tonight, but she won't be able to. And welcome to Filk. Glad to see everybody. Let's take a look at who's in there. Of course, there's Donna Parker, who says greetings. And I'm going to butcher this name. Is it Alvarant? Alvarant? How you doing tonight, Alvarant? Glad you could make it. And we'll see. We'll see how many people drop because they didn't think it was going to happen. But we'll continue on and see what goes on. So
there we go.
We were talking about locations, but let's we're trying to think. When did you and I first meet each other?
Oh gosh. Okay, you have to consider that I have a sieve-like memory with respect to this sort of thing. So it could have been any time, to be honest.
I'm thinking.
You go to enough cons, they all start to blend together.
Trying to think. You were at a couple Boss cons, weren't you?
I was at I was at BossCon a couple of times. The first one was the Great BossCon Meltdown year.
No, I don't think I was there that year.
But that was spectacular. You know, it was the last of the huge BossCons, and the reason they don't have huge BossCons anymore. And then I was there as a guest a few years ago, and both times had a great time. So it's a lovely convention, and they do a lot of nice music there.
So I imagine it was either that or Concertino or maybe Cantata something. Yeah. Yeah. It's a long time though.
Yeah. I get around a little less now that I've got kids because you can't. All right, if you have a cat, you can leave the cat for the weekend. And if you have kids and you do that, they frown on it.
That's what Velcro and bottles are for, isn't that?
They frown on that. That's my story. I'm sticking to it.
That's why my kids don't talk to me.
I thought it was vaccinations, but...
Yeah, that too. That goes easy. So usually what I normally do is try to get your background from when did you actually start music? What brought you into music to begin with?
Well, it was my dad's fault, originally starting out because he got me guitar lessons when I was in 4th through 6th grade. And I wasn't very good at it. I don't think most people who are in 4th to 6th grade really get good at it because you just don't practice enough, to be honest about it. He's like, yeah, I don't practice. Yeah, I got it, Dad. Okay, we're good with that. But I learned just an immense number of skills that turned out to be really useful later when I picked the guitar back up because I put it down for years. I didn't really pick it up until late in high school and then, a little bit in college. And then I discovered Filk, and then I didn't put the guitar down. I actually ran into Filk at the Worldcon at Mid-Americon, 1976. I had come up from Carbondale on the bus with a friend of mine, and we had joined a car convoy that was going across the state from St. Louis, left from the Couch's house. There were some longtime fans there. And among the longtime fans who had met there were Buck and Juanita and their son, Bruce. Bruce is about my age. And so at some point during the convention, Bruce went looking for his mother and led me into this room, and they were singing. And I know Juanita was there, and Ann Passavoy was there. And, well, this is interesting. Okay. We need to shoot the other stream. Yeah, that's basically just it.
I know. Oh, my goodness. I did. There we go. Thanks, Ian, buddy.
And now the other stream is dead. But I don't recall who all else was in the room, but I looked and said, this is the coolest thing ever. And my next convention, you went from the biggest Worldcon at the time down to Shambanicon, and which was tiny. And I borrowed a guitar and I sang a bad parody of Gentle on My Mind. And Anne took her guitar back. She'd been kind enough to loan me. She wiped it off and promised that nothing this horrible would ever happen to it again. And the next year I came in and I sang a parody of, I forget what it was, but I had borrowed a guitar from Cliff, and Cliff took the guitar away and wiped it down and promised nothing this bad would happen to it again. And, then I started writing songs where people died, and those were much more popular. So this is the classic comedy is hard, dying is easy. And that's what I did. I blazed a trail of dead bodies for about 8 years or so.
Well, that's what I was wondering. I said, were you the influence on Erica?
No, Erica can be grim all by herself, and is quite good at it. But yeah, there's a lot of similarities there, and we enjoy comparing notes whenever we get a chance to get together. But no, I mean, this is why the whole thing was the Grim Roper, and I didn't really write a lot of funny stuff until I got together with Gretchen. I've been doing improv comedy since the early 80s.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
Yeah, I was in a theater group called Mobius Theater, which is a Spanish theater group here in Chicago. And then later we split off from them, and we have a group now called Space Time Theater. We do about a show a year because that's about how often we can get together and get to a convention to perform. But being funny is just easier for me with a partner. And it turned out that Gretchen and I started writing songs together when we were invited to be guests at DuckCon when Jan was running the Filk there. And she said, what do you sing together? And Gretchen said, nothing. So you'll have to fix that. And so we sat down and Dave Barry, right?
Oh, yeah.
Amy Harold. Okay. Dave Barry came up with a wonderful phrase called brain sludge, which is the garbage that lives at the bottom of your brain that you can't forget, that is of absolutely no use.
I think I've read that in some of his columns. Yes.
Yeah, and so Gretchen and I wrote a song about brain sludge because there is nobody with sludgier brains than science fiction fans. And it went over well, and we both got to sing the duet. And since then, we've written several more. And one of them won a Pegasus Award, which shocked the heck out of me because I don't expect to win for doing anything funny. and yet we did. So that was a great thing.
It's you have a song that Donna and I love, and she wrote a parody of a song for me the year after we got married. And the reason she wrote that song, which ours is stuck in the Filk room again, is because of yours and Gretchen's. My husband is a filker.
Okay, yeah. That works.
Yeah.
I'm glad somebody else is getting some mileage out of it.
Yeah, it's a wonderful song, and if Gretchen had been here, that was probably one of the songs I would have asked you guys to do.
And that would be great, and we really need to practice. But we got the kids back in school, and she's just running ragged to keep things together.
Hey, Rocket Son. It's amazing. It's amazing what you do by yourself and what you do with a partner. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, the same way with Donna and I. She'll write more funny songs than I will. I'm a serious writer. I would love to have Larry Kirby's ability to write funny songs.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he writes them left and right. So
And that's a good thing. And if that's your talent, that's just great. It's just that I appear to be better at killing people musically.
musically,
We
yes.
try not to leave a trail of actual physical bodies, because once again the police follow you when you do that.
So I always ask too, when you're up in your area, were you part of the? When did you meet like Steve McDonald in that crew? Was that up in your area? Because aren't you all from the? I mean, Anno, and Michigan is very close, aren't they?
Okay, yeah, basically upper Midwest filking is the way I would describe it. And there's a cluster in Detroit, and there's a cluster down around Columbus. There's a cluster in the Chicago, Milwaukee area. There's a lot of folks up in Minneapolis, but the Minneapolis music tends to be a very different sort of thing for the most part. But the Chicago, Detroit, Columbus axis and in between produced a lot of really good musicians, and it's all close enough to drive once you got interstate highways. I attributed a lot of the growth of fandom in the early 80s to the fact that it wasn't Star Trek as much for these conventions as the fact you could actually drive there in a finite amount of time now, because you set the cruise control for 70 or slightly more, and down the road you go. But yeah, Smack is out of the Detroit area group. He was actually in Kalamazoo when we met him.
Okay. So I'm still trying to figure out who was part of Gordy Dixon's group up there, who were Dorsey regulars or irregulars.
Well, Gretchen and I both are at this point.
Oh, you were? Oh, good. Everybody
Yeah.
says no, it wasn't us this time. I didn't ask you if you were.
No, Bill and Brenda too. When you get around to them, we're Gretchen and I are actually fairly new to this. The original group was out of the Ann Arbor area. It was put together by Bob Aspirin, and gosh, Bob and Ann Passavoy, Rennie Gobine and Carol Gobine, Steve Simmons, Mark Bernstein actually got in late, but he hung with the whole crew. But yeah, lots of, Chris Clayton, just bunches of people hung out, and they could sing in varying degrees. But all right, Bob was never the greatest singer, but he's a damn fine performer. Okay, and that counts for a lot. And he wrote a lot of good material, and he rewrote a lot of good Irish material, and he had quite a repertoire.
So this is why I wanted to find somebody that actually was a Dorsey irregular. What is the reason it came together? What was the real purpose of it?
Honest to God, what happened was there was art stolen from, I believe it was the Torcon art show, Worldcon. And Bob Aspirin went on stage with some of his friends and announced they were the Dorsey Irregulars and they were available for security gigs. And that remarkably worked. Remember, we were in the early days of the expansion of conventions, and they were needing people to do things for them at cons, more bodies than they had available, and people who are good at things like talking people out of doing something stupid. What are Dorsey Irregulars? Okay. Yeah, it's a security group. It's a Fanish security group, and they work a lot of conventions, mostly in the furry community at this point. Uh, yeah, well, the furry community is at the stage of development where they need the same sort of security that at this point most of the conventions are able to do themselves. But they do contracts for general interest science fiction conventions. They helped run the art show at Marcon for years and years and years. Okay, so they're kind of available to fill what fits their talents, and there are quite a few people with different talents in the group. They know how to run an art show. They know how to do bag check if bag check is what you need. They know how. If you need them as put a doorstop irregular to sit at the door and badge somebody, you can get that. Do you need somebody checking the halls at night to make sure nothing stupid is going on? All these things, and it's great, and people have fun doing it.
So, okay, now this is something that is kind of new to me in that respect. I always thought it was a group that was formed around Gordon's writing of Dorsai and all that.
Well, they've got a license from Gordy, okay,
Really?
but Gordy was not the impetus for doing it. All right, Bob loved. I mean, we all loved Gordy's writing. Okay, but Gordy didn't start the group. Gordy just gave us permission to use the name.
Ah, okay, so that's how it evolved. So how did it get so big in filking then? Is that a lot of you guys were filkers and just got together afterwards?
Sure. I mean, if you take a look, all right, Aspirin,
Yeah,
and Simmons,
yeah.
and the Passavoys, and Michael Longcore. I mean, that's a pretty good filking crew just to start with.
Yeah.
I'm positive I'm going to forget somebody's name, and then they're going to kick me later. But I mean, seriously, when you used to hang out at the Michigan Filks, that's that's the sort of people you'd see, and they'd go there for the DI meeting. They'd have it at one of the Michigan conventions in the fall, and then they have Dorsai thing, which is the annual gather, which is the main business meeting, and the singing's good there too. That one moves around.
So to be a Dorsai, you don't have to be a filker, but to be a filker, you can be a Dorsai.
It works that way. It's basically a by invitation organization.
Right.
So people, you can work with the Dorsai without being a member. If you fit well and people like you, you might get asked to be a member. That's pretty much how it works.
Cool. All right, you've given me you helped my quest on understanding the Dorsai irregulars.
Okay.
Because
and there's a website with history too, if you wanted to go look it up.
Yeah, I'll do that. Yeah.
www.di.org. I guess that's the official plug, right?
Yeah. I'll definitely check that up. Cool. That is great. Huh. All right, I learned something. So tell me about since I didn't get into filking, even though I was writing filk, I didn't realize it until really 1998. Tell me about the earlier days. Tell me what is this guerrilla filking I hear about all the time?
Well, that's a good question. I never specifically heard of guerrilla filking, but my suspicion is it's late, let's go find a room, because that's the wonderful thing about filking. It tended to happen after the programming was done, and if you could find an empty room and turn on the lights, nobody really chased you down. And this was an improvement over filking in people's rooms. We did start out filking in rooms, and the rooms got crowded. Sometimes the rooms got very crowded, and sometimes you're in places where the neighbors didn't appreciate you being there. And this is how you get songs like Marcon Ballroom. You know that one, right?
Mm-hmm.
And yeah. But the hotel, the nice thing is the Concoms have figured out that filking is a good way to keep people occupied at night with space which would otherwise be sitting fallow. So that's a good thing. It's a win-win now that we have function rooms. But we filked in hotel rooms all the time, and sometimes it worked better than others. I remember being in, I think it was Gordy's room up at Minicon, where he was hosting the Filk. And I remember seeing, Have Some Madeira, My Dear?
Name is familiar.
It's a Flanders and Swan. It's about an evil old man seducing a sweet young thing.
I probably have heard it.
Okay. Well, when you do this, it got to be a tradition of having, you get some woman to play the sweet young thing, and then the singer would be the evil filker who is trying to seduce her with wine and all. And yes, it's of course very politically incorrect, although she seems to be a willing participant actually in this more than I think we give her credit for. But so you probably never met Eric Webb. Eric Webb was a really tall guy with huge bushy hair, huge bushy beard. Fuzzy Viking, we called him.
Okay.
He was in the SCA. And he became the designated virgin. And we had, I think it was Aspirin and Passavoy duetting, singing this song to Eric. And as Bob would, well, they were both Bobs, as Passavoy would say, it's kind of bad when you see something that large simper. It was one of the funnier things I've ever seen. But and this is what happens. You get a bunch of people together and they're having a good time and they're friends, and it doesn't get much better than that. I'm really tremendously spoiled because I have been listening to wonderful live music for more than 40 years. And that is such a nice thing. I very seldom put Filk on when I'm at home just because I'm so spoiled. It's like, yeah, I want to go hear this live, more than I want to hear it recorded. And this is, of course, a stupid thing for the guy who sells CDs to be saying. But it's true. It's just, I'm terribly spoiled.
I think the thing that pulls us all together is that camaraderie and getting together and sharing the music. I like to listen to Filk on occasion, but I'd rather sit there and hear the same song 200 times in a circle than I would at home. I know what you're feeling on that.
Mm-hmm. Well, and when it's live, there's this immediacy to it, and that's just a lovely thing. And you never know what you're going to hear next. And the nice thing is that Filk is a very accepting community, which is good because you notice they didn't throw me out after the first two horrible songs, which they could have done. But no, it's a very accepting community, and people get a chance to learn. People get a chance to grow. People get a chance to improve, which is just a great thing. This is the whole Sally Childs Helton Filk Hall of Fame acceptance speech when she was inducted. It used to be that everybody who could made music. Before we had radios, you'd sit around and somebody'd have a guitar or a ukulele or a piano or even a player piano, and they'd put a roll on or play, and people would sing. They'd sing. People would sing along with them. And it just stopped when recorded music became available in so many places. And it's nice to be part of a community that does that.
I never thought of it from that point of view, but you're right. I mean, who gets together to sing anymore? Not too many people.
No, I mean, things like the Old Town School of Folk Music, they'll get together for a song circle occasionally, but it's not like you see the rock band circle, right?
No, unless you're doing something to a rock band song.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, I know. But that's good. So I know if I'm going to ask this, what do you think about the newer styles that are coming out, like um, nerd music and wizard rock and things like that. Where do you think they fit with filking?
Some days better than others. Um, Anything can fit in a Filk circle as long as everybody's willing to play nice with everybody else. There we go, Tom Boat. All right. The thing that makes a Filk circle work is that a Filk circle, all right, that makes it work is if it's being polite. Okay. You can have a chaos circle, you can have a bardic circle, pick, pass, play, whatever actually works. Anything can work as long as the people in it are actually polite and there to listen to each other. Now, you'll break any circle when you have people there who are primarily interested in performing and not listening to the other people in the circle. All right, and this is not in any way trying to indict anybody. Okay,
Yeah.
But if what you have is you have a band, and the band's mission is to play shows from a stage, and they don't have a feel for how to play in a circle environment, or let's say, well, we're part of this. There are going to be 10 concerts today, and we play ours and we leave instead of listening to the other 9. Okay, these are the people who won't mix well with the Filk community. On the other hand, if they're there and hell, let's listen to the next 9 shows. Okay, yeah, they're probably our friends, one way or another. And I love rock. I love rock. I some days I even like rap. Okay. Music Man is rap, right? Proto rap. When you go back and take a look at it,
we've had a couple of rap Filk songs.
We have,
yeah.
And Luke Ski has been to a lot of Filks, and Luke Ski's a rapper.
Yeah,
and it's all good. It's just a matter of wanting to share, and if you're there to share, you're probably going to fit.
I think you hit the nail of the head on one point that it always drove me crazy. Was if you got a person that came into the Filk room and they only came in to showboat that one, possibly 2 songs, and then got up and walked out, used to drive me up a wall when that happened. We've been kind of lucky in our area because we've got a couple really great people that consider themselves nerd music or wizard rock and stuff like that, but they play, the whole group of us play together and we have a great time. Mm-hmm. And that to me is the overall, if you're in a circle, you're playing, it doesn't matter what style you're playing. Are you having fun? Are you sharing with everybody else? Are you in there just to sell your CDs? Or are you in there because you want to hear everybody else and have a good time? So I agree very heavily with what you just said along those lines. I hate the showboats.
Well, it's never okay. Even the nicest people can end up dominating a Filk circle and not thinking about it. I think it was what was it? Hoosier Con. It was a short-lived Indiana convention, and I was there, and Bob Aspirin was there, and Wolf was there, and Juanita was there. And Bob said, "Well, I want to do Dorsey songs for. I want to do half an hour Dorsey songs." Well, none of the rest of us really felt like doing Dorsey songs right that minute. And honestly, my Dorsey song repertoire is kind of limited. Wolf's is much larger, but he wasn't in the mood for it. And so we got up and we headed out and figured, let Bob hold forth. And got to be about a half an hour in. And we said, okay, send Juanita. So Juanita's trying to get back to her guitar to start something because it's been over half an hour. And before she can manage to get something started, Bob launches into another song. And Wolf and I are standing in the door, and we look at each other, and we go, rumble, 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 mutiny, 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 rumble, rumble, and just get louder. And Bob stopped. Okay. because he realized, okay, he'd blown out his half hour. We wanted the song circle back. But the thing is, all right, everybody ought to be happy.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes the right answer is, if I'm not happy, I should be somewhere else. I'll give you an example, okay? Worldcon. Worldcon has a lot of Filk circles.
Yeah, I was going to say it must.
It helps. But, I've wandered around and I go, okay, Leslie Fish is in this room. Leslie's a fine performer. And the people who are in this room with Leslie want to hear Leslie. Okay? So this is not a room that I'm going to feel comfortable in or contribute to unless it's like, I really feel like going to listen to Leslie today. Because it's effectively going to be the Leslie Fish by request concert. And that's fine because people are happy. It's just not my room. Okay.
Right.
In fact, this was at the Atlanta Worldcon, and there were 4 rooms going, and none of them actually had the thing I was looking for. And I sat down in the hall, and Ann Passavoy was sitting in the same vicinity, and we pulled out the guitars in this nook in the hallway. And Sutton comes around and says, "I give you 5 rooms to filk in, and you still filk in the hall." And Ann looked at me and said, "And your point?" But that was the place where we had what made us happy. And I have essays somewhere buried on LiveJournal and DreamWith on this subject. But what you want is a healthy filk circle. Okay? If the filk circle is determined to be relentlessly funny and I want to sing serious stuff, I should go somewhere else because I will hurt the circle. If I do what I want to do, I can sit there and be unhappy, that I'm not doing what I want to do, and this wasn't what I wanted to listen to tonight. I'm not in the mood for funny music. But everybody else is having a good time. So it is not my job to wreck their evening. It is my job to go somewhere else and do something else. Maybe I can find someplace else to filk where I'll be happier. Maybe I'll go out and have a conversation in the hall. But I don't need to be an ass.
Yeah, no, I understand what you're saying. I think one of the best things I like about a pure filk convention is you have those breakout rooms. I mean, I very rarely am in the main room because I find that in the main room there tends to be a lot of people that want to showboat to a degree. And I was in one filk circle. I didn't play an entire song because I just couldn't get a song in. I know that you got to be aggressive sometimes, but I'm not that type of person. I'm more of like a bardic circle type or moderated chaos.
I like chaos, but really, all right. This is one of my axioms, which is pulled out of thin air. The proper carrying capacity for a chaos circle is about 7 people who want to play regularly. Because once it's over about 7, it starts to become unmanageable.
Yeah, I can agree with that. Yeah.
Now, what I do in my head is effectively non-topological bardic. So what I do is I tag all the people who I think I want to see are wanting to sing regularly, and keep an eye out to see if anybody else is trying to be in that group. And then I try not to sing more often than the rest of them. Yeah, I understand. There's days that the thing that will drive me crazy is the world's slowest pick, pass, and play. Okay, when I was in Alpha LACon 1984, I got asked to moderate a pick, pass, and play circle, and so the first thing I did was put my guitar away because I knew I'd go nuts sitting there with a guitar. So my mission in life for that night was to make sure the circle ran, and I had the moving finger of death. It's like, you better be ready when this gets to you, because if not, I'm going to move past you, because I'm not going to sit here and wait 5 minutes while you go, "Oh, I don't know. What should I play now? I don't know. You had 40 minutes to think about it."
You couldn't have put something up on your pad.
Apparently not. It's 84. At this point, it was
it's going through the book, and then from there, I mean, it's not just like the quick. Oh, it was funny. We were over at Larry's. I'm surprised he's not on tonight. I probably forgot about it. We had a house Filk over at Larry's for his birthday a couple weeks ago, and normally when we're in there, it's usually we usually do Bardic and it works out pretty good. Somehow it turned into a moderated chaos because we started here, then we went over to here and back and forth. And I'm going, it was driving me nuts all night because I was trying to make sure everybody was having the chance, but it was a small groups and we were all good friends, so it wasn't that bad.
You're polite. Yeah. Polite's the trick. I've seen circles where it's so polite that nobody will sing. It's like, you sing something now.
Yeah, please pick up that guitar.
Yeah. You haven't sung anything in 40 minutes. It's your turn.
This is.
Yep. 2 hours around a circle that takes 2 hours to go around.
It's too big.
Well, it's time to have multiple circles.
Yeah.
In my opinion, if you have the option. Mm-hmm. Now, all right. What you have to remember is I've been doing this a stupidly long time. So I was running the filking at ShyCon in 1982, Worldcon, and Off Centaur had brought their recording gear. They were going to be making a tape. So they have a shotgun mic, and Jeff Rogers is sitting in the middle of the room, and you point the shotgun mic at whoever is performing. And you actually got some pretty good recordings that way at the open Filk, because we didn't have concerts to speak of in those days.
Yeah.
And, okay, so everybody needed to be in the room with a microphone because this was their chance to get on a tape.
Mm-hmm.
And nothing was going to get anybody out of that room. Greg Cronow was I think my number 2 for that. And I sent Greg crawling across the floor to ask one filker if perhaps we had more rooms available. Could you go here and pull off some percentage of the people in this room? Because there is no oxygen left in this room. It is packed to the rafters because this is where everybody is. And got the look that said, obviously you're insane. I'm not leaving this room. And then we asked Juanita. And Juanita, being the best person in the galaxy, said, sure. And I went with Juanita to the other room. We pulled about 10% of the people out of the room who were in search of both music and oxygen. And it relieved the pressure for a while.
Mm-hmm.
But man, the wanting to be in the room with the microphone is such a strong impetus. The wanting to be in the room with the people that I want to listen to is such a strong impetus. It's like, why would I leave this room? Filker X and Filker Y and Filker Z and Filker A and Filker B and Filker C, all of whom I want to hear are in this room. Well, yeah, I understand why you want to be in that room. But boy, I wish X, Y, and Z were here and A, B, and C were there because everybody would have a better time.
Mm-hmm.
And, maybe tomorrow we can have X, B, and C and Y, Z, and A in some combination.
That, I could see how that even back in 98 and, when I started, everybody, we still didn't have the recording capabilities. I mean, Spencer used to do all the recordings for everything that we had, and most of the stuff we had from Mass Filk, came out of him. It's today though. It's crazy. What do you think about today during this pandemic, the online concerts and things?
I love that it's possible. Okay. I haven't tended to go to a lot of them. And once again, it's just because I'm so spoiled by live music. And yes, I understand it's still live music, but the feel of it is so different that I just have trouble. All right, I sit in this chair 8 hours a day for my work. So to come here and say, now let's sit here for 6 hours and watch people play is kind of a stretch. And yes, I could probably find some way to stream it onto my television, but it's not the same. It just isn't the same. The interplay between the participants isn't the same, even if you're trying to hold a live Filk. And we did for Capricorn. And like I said, I was just so lucky there that the British Filk Con was on the same weekend, because what we did was we shared the channel with the British Filk Con.
Right. And see, that's one of the nice things. You filk with people you don't normally filk with.
Mm-hmm.
And I love that aspect of it. Do you see it continuing down the line, or do you think just because of the pandemic it will go back, completely to normal, and we're only going to see each other at conventions?
Nothing ever goes back to normal. Everything finds its new normal, and the people who enjoy this will keep doing it, and that's a great thing. I've referred to what has gone on in the last 20 years, and before that too, but as the democratization of culture, because technology has become cheaper and cheaper. Okay, what you and I are doing here, we would have had to spend an immense amount of money to do 10 years ago. And I'm thinking you spent less than that.
Yeah, I sold off a couple of my dogs, and my wife is taking an extra job.
There you go. But you can afford it. It used to be, all right, the Beatles recorded Sgt. Pepper's on an 8-track reel-to-reel recorder. That's why Sgt. Pepper's is so incredibly noisy, because when they wanted more than 8 tracks, what they would have to do is they'd have to do a submix and bounce it to another track on the 8 tracks to free up tracks so they could record some more stuff when they wanted to do really heavy layering. I can have way more than 8 tracks nowadays if I want them.
Yeah.
I got to find things to do with them. I would also have to be the Beatles, and this is hard for me. But for less than $500, if you have a computer, for less than $500, you can produce a technically better recording than the Beatles did. Okay? Now, you have to be the Beatles if you want it to sound like the Beatles, but you can make it sound like the best you that there ever was.
Mm-hmm.
And because you get a little bit of recording software, you get a little bit of audio interface. Here we go. Yeah, let's not spill everything. There we are. There's a little audio interface. Cost, if I can get it in the camera here, I have no sense of direction. There we are.
Here we go.
$119 for that.
Yeah, I've seen those before. Yeah.
Yeah. $100 for a microphone, a good microphone. $200 for a much better microphone, because there's no sense buying $1,000 microphone unless you're prepared to give $1,000 worth of performance. No one's going to hear the difference. It's like when I went out to buy guitars. Okay, I bought my first Taylor, and actually it was my second Taylor I bought at that time. I wanted one with a spruce top, and I played the entire Taylor line. Played the 300s, the 400s, the 500s, 600s, 700s. And I said, I really like this one guitar. And it was a 700. And I said, Terry, what's the difference between the 300 and the 700? He said, really, it's just accoutrements. It's the same wood. I said, it's not. And he goes and looks it up. And the 700 has a different kind of spruce on the top. And I'm able to hear the difference when I'm playing it.
Mm-hmm.
And if I can hear the difference when I'm playing it, I'm entitled to think about spending the money. Okay. If I can't hear the difference when I play it, why spend more money?
See, I've changed to ovations. It's because I like the sound of an ovation. Yeah. And that's basically why I play. I used to play Takamine all the time. I still have my Takaminis, but I've become an ovation fanatic. So it all depends on what your personal taste is and how it sounds, and that's your sound that you're bringing out.
That's it. When I was married to Carol, we bought me a Gibson Les Paul, as a birthday present, and the thing never sound. I would play it, and it's a very lovely guitar. It just never sounded like me. And eventually, I traded it on a different guitar that did. When I play this guitar, it sounds like me. And that was what I wanted.
Exactly. Well, we've got a few minutes left. Did you want to do a song or?
I got a new one.
Hey, that would be great.
It's sitting on my desk because this is the one that has the typo in it.
So, cool. Yeah.
I did this at Marcon this weekend.
I was watching before I came on here. There was a Star Trek something going on right now that one of my friends is broadcasting, and this very young girl is sitting there, and she's interviewing this older gentleman who had his first Star Trek convention was like in 1974, and he still on his phone had the typed out schedule, and she went, people had, and then she turns the camera and says, people typed out 1,000 copies of those. And I'm going, no.
Yeah.
Good thing it wasn't in cursive. But
yeah, we had photocopiers, Bunky. Mimeographs.
Oh, yes.
No machines. Still smell the ditto. So this is called Shining. Shooting stars are pretty as they streak across the sky, and their light's there for a moment, then the light has passed us by. They're not the light I like to see, they're not the light I hope to be. I wanna go on shining, and I hope you will agree that we ought to shine together for a long, long time. My world is so much better when it's all filled up with light. Light to show the pathway in the middle of the night. Light that never fails me. Light that's glowing strong. Light to give me hope when all the world is going wrong. Shooting stars are pretty as they streak across the sky, and their light's there for a moment, then the light has passed us by. They're not the light I like to see, they're not the light I hope to be. I wanna go on shining, and I hope you will agree that we ought to shine together for a long, long time. I look up to the heavens, to a sky that's filled with stars. The light that's generations past is now the light that's ours. The light that guided ships at sea wherever they may roam. Light that's like the light I see that's gonna lead me home. Shooting stars are pretty as they streak across the sky, and their light's there for a moment, then the light has passed us by. They're not the light I like to see, they're not the light I hope to be. I wanna go on shining, and I hope you will agree that we ought to shine together for a long, long time. The points of light that guide us from the stars so far away are suns much like our own that brings us new life every day. Light and life forever shine in the expanse. We can shine together as we spin through time's long dance. Shooting stars are pretty as they streak across the sky, and their light's there for a moment, then the light has passed us by. They're not the light I like to see, they're not the light I hope to be. I wanna go on shining, and I hope you will agree that we ought to shine together for a long, long time. Shooting stars are pretty as they streak across the sky, and there are lights there for a moment, then the light is cast us by. They're not the light I like to see, they're not the light I hope to be. I wanna go on shining, and I hope you will agree that we ought to shine together for a long, long time. We ought to shine together for a long, long time. We ought to shine together for the longest time.
Very nice, very nice. So where are you going to be next?
OVFF.
Okay, that's coming up. Yeah.
Yeah, unfortunately, Gretchen can't come because we can't get everybody vaccinated. So she's got to stay home with the kids. And so I will be batching it for the weekend.
Okay, well, you have a great time. Did you send me, when I put that stuff, did you send me your website where you can get your stuff?
Well, buy is difficult.
Yeah.
Moment. But if you want to see my stuff, it's all at www.filker.com.
That's right. I remember that now. Yeah, so I'll put that on there. I think it's on there, so we'll make sure that that's there for you. So, do you want to say it's been great having you?
It's been fun. There's nothing like pontificating about things that happened 30 years ago.
It's good for the history. You know, what I want to do with this program is to get people to understand what Filk is. And the best way I think it is to talk to Filkers, to have them show their experience. And somebody like you and Bill and, are just people that have been around a lot longer than I have. And I love hearing the stories. And I think the audience likes hearing it too. Those who are into Filk, just seeing where the roots are. I mean, I know the roots go back to the 50s and further, but
they do. I mean, have you had a chance to talk to Juanita or?
No, I haven't. I've been kind of embarrassed because I don't know her that well. I've been wanting to ask her if she wanted to come on. So
I think Juanita would love to come on, but I think she would need some help working through the tech problem.
Yeah.
So, her son Bruce might be able to help her through that. So maybe poking. Unfortunately, I don't have Bruce's address, but I bet if you poke the OVFF committee, they could point you in the right direction.
Yeah, from that point, yeah. I want to see if I can get Kathy on here too, Kathy Marr.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, from that point. See, we've got coming up, you got Larry Kirby in 2 weeks. Well, we have Alyssa next week. She's one of the newer people in our area. Larry Kirby. Yeah. Have you seen her?
I have.
Yeah, she got
OVFF and
yeah, she's good. Then Larry Kirby, and then Margaret Davis and Christoph reached out to me, so I'm going to have them.
Well, and they've been around a long time too.
And Roberta Rogow, and Keith Beringer, white plectrum in our area. And have you ever heard of a Brian Baker? He's middle country.
Okay, name's familiar, but I'm drawing a blank.
Yeah, I think he's fairly new. He's about our age.
Okay.
Maybe a little bit younger, but he's been doing Filk. He does it. I ran into him on Twitch. Matricula introduced me to him.
Okay.
Yeah, I have Matricula on already. Then Bill and Brenda and Eric and Lizzie will be on too. So
excellent.
And also, I think Dave Weingart has finally said, I spaces. I said, look, and I'm up to November. We'll get you in. So
there we go.
So,
but now, do you have are these all available then on archive or?
Oh yeah, they're definitely on. You see, that's so I keep on having to post this. Everybody says, "Oh, I wish I had been there." Yeah, we have these on archive. I'll send you the link. It's on No Budget Productions, Filk Barrett Productions, and I've got the playlist right there. So we started off with Gray Reinhardt. and worked our way down. Most of the Mikey Mason, Blind Lem was on, Moss Bliss was on, Matt Leger was on, Kat Faber, Tom Smith. So I've had some really good people on here. So
if you get a chance to talk to Barry and Sally ever, Barry and Sally Charles Helton, I know they know how to get on the internet, but they'd be a lot of fun to talk to too if you want to go chase them down.
Oh, I got Mew coming on in December.
Cool.
Yeah. So yeah.
She was one of the younger members of that Michigan Mafia.
Yeah. Well, she was my voice teacher for a while when she was in Framingham.
Okay.
Yeah, when I was in New Hampshire. Well, I'm originally from Massachusetts. We'd go down there. As a matter of fact, I don't think she'll remember this, but when she had her first child, we gave her first little stuffed ferret.
Okay.
That was years ago. So.
I'm visualizing the entire My Little Ferret animated series, and
ooh, that's a good idea. Alrighty, so just quickly, everybody, just to catch up. I know because I'm going to have to reset that to make sure that that's set for Bill and Brenda. Friday night we have a Star Trek International, and I've lost it. No, look forward to the day. So that will be on 11 o'clock Eastern Standard or Eastern Daylight on Friday night. That will be our Star Trek fan film for that night. Star Trek fan film for Farragut will be on Sunday night. It's not Crossroads. That's mine. It's Price of Anything. And this is the first one, as I was telling Bill earlier, is the first one that I was actually involved with the Farragut doing the sets and stuff like that. And if you look really closely, you'll see me hiding. Well, I won't tell you how many places I was. But, yeah, we'll be continuing that series. I believe Vance is going to start Pizza Roll Diaries back in October. I got to talk to him about that. And next week, as I said, we have Alyssa Yeager, and she is Rihanna's Lark, and we'll be interviewing her. So hopefully this continues going. Bill, love to have you back again anytime. If you want to come up. Yeah. Hopefully maybe we'll get Gretchen next time. And maybe
that would be nice because I like singing with Gretchen. And Gretchen has opinions.
Yeah. I mean, if she wants to come on by herself, I mean, that would be fine too. So,
okay, yeah, we'll see when she recovers from the kids.
Yeah, I know how that goes. Yeah, I mean, all mine are out of the house, so
more peaceful that way.
Exactly. So, I still have a wife who's going to kill me when I go back into the house. You may never see me again. This may be my last broadcast. Okay.
Yeah, she's let you live this long. You're probably okay.
Yeah. Okay. And once again, happy Star Trek Day to everybody out there. And thank you all for coming tonight. And for those who catch it on the rewind, you have a good evening. Live long and prosper, all that good stuff. Again, Bill, thank you for coming on tonight. We've really enjoyed it. And hopefully we'll have you again sometime. And good luck at OVFF. Are you up for anything this year?
Nah, some years yes, some years no. This was a no. Yeah. There's a lot of good people on the ballot, so and I'm looking forward to hear them at the Pegasus concert.
Great. Okay. All right. Good night, everybody. Have a fantastic rest of the week and take care.
You too.